Welcome back, Sethling here. Today we continue my quest to create a 360 card custom Mario themed Magic the Gathering draft cube. I am designing 360 cards. They're all designed by me and they're all Mario themed. So if you want to know what this is all about, there's a link in the video description to my first video in this series where I go over what the idea is behind the whole set. Today I'm going to be talking about 14 cards I designed since the last video, or I guess since 2 videos ago, but we left off yesterday with the Odyssey, a flying vehicle from Mario Odyssey. But yeah, we're going to start up today with Pipe Frame. So this is supposed to be a card that rewards you for playing heavily into the vehicles theme of the Mario Kart part of the set. So the Mario Kart colors are black, blue, white. They're the Esper colors. So this is a 3 mana 3/4 with crew 1. Whenever Pipe Frame attacks or blocks, other vehicles you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. So this card might be kind of hard to use. I haven't play tested with it yet. We'll see how it actually plays out. But you basically need to have 2 vehicles and 2 creatures to crew them at least, and that's a lot to ask. That's 4 permanents in order to get any value out of this, and so I'm a little bit worried, and you also have to risk this card by attacking it with it, right? So it might be, you might, in order to attack with this, you might have to attack into something unfavorable. So we'll see. This might be way too weak. This card might be way too weak, but +2/+2 to another vehicle or potentially multiple vehicles could be pretty good too. So I guess we'll see. So Pipe Frame, by the way, is the original sort of design for Mario Karts back from like Super Mario Kart, the very first one on Super Nintendo, and from Mario 64. Pipe Kart is a different cart. This is from Double Dash, Mario Kart Double Dash, and I used the pipe theme as like inspiration for the effect. So this is a 2 mana 3/5 with crew 2. So whenever a Pipe Cart deals combat damage to a player, exile a target permanent you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So what's cool about this is it's really flexible. You can tap your 2/2 or whatever, attack with Pipe Cart. It's like a little bit hard to block, especially early game, and that'll allow you to exile and return the creature that you crewed it with. So you can kind of like give your other creature vigilance in a way. Or you could have Pipe Cart even exile itself and come back. And if you have another creature to crew it with, you can use it to block. You can use it to trigger and enter the battlefield effect. Yeah, you can use it for all sorts of things, and I think that's really cool. You can also use it to untap a land that you tapped in your first main phase, or even during combat. So it's really flexible. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. And then let's move on. So another vehicle. We're sort of in like the vehicles portion of the set right now. Spear is from Mario Kart Wii, and it's the cart that's used in all of the speedrun world records. It's the fastest cart, and so I gave it this can't be blocked ability since it's too fast to be blocked. So it's a crew 3 that can't be blocked. So it's like this gives you a lot of inevitability, right? 4 attacks with this guy, and you're dead, and you can't really block him in combat. So this 2 toughness is more meant to be like attacked by either burn spells or black, -X spells, that sort of thing. So this is a good win condition for a vehicles deck, I think. Crew 3 is a fair amount though, so you gotta be careful about that. Airship Fortress is a course in one of the Mario Kart games. I'm not sure which one, I don't remember. This is a kind of an experimental land. I don't know if it's gonna stay like this. I started a cycle of lands that Wizards of the Coast would not print. So there's going to be 1 for each shard. They're each going to produce 3 colors, and they each have something about them that make them something that Wizards of the Coast wouldn't print, but I'm going to print them anyway in my set because I want to experiment and try them out and see what works and what doesn't. So the reason that Wizards of the Coast wouldn't print this is this card does nothing on the first 2 turns of the game. You need 3 lands at least in order to use this. But once you do, it's a pretty good mana fixer, and it's got a really nice ability to become a 3/3 flyer for 3 mana. So if you do have other lands that produce all three of these colors, you get some really nice benefit out of this. So it's a good later game card, and it's really bad early game in the first 2 turns. But we'll see how it plays out. Basically, I'm really interested to playtest with this card. I don't know. Yeah, there's not much more to say. I'm interested to playtest with it. Enter the Painting is it's a top-down design. That means it's I tried to evoke a lot of flavor with this one. So I thought about what does it mean to enter a painting? Well, you're going and visiting a level in the hopes of getting a power star or whatever. And so what it says is look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a land card from among them and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest onto the bottom of your library in any order. Also, each opponent creates a 1/1 black minion creature token. So the idea here is you're finding a land to go to. It could be a non-basic land, which is pretty cool. And so you're getting that. So this is like an acceleration card, which usually costs 2 mana. So you're getting a discount here. But the downside is if you're casting this on turn 1, you're also giving your opponent a 1/1 creature on turn 1, which is significant in the early game. And so you're going to take some damage from this. They're going to have a creature that they can potentially use as a resource. This card would be really strong if they printed a real Magic card, just due to various combos that exist in Magic. But since my set exists in isolation and is really only going to be played with itself, I just want to try it out and see how it is. Maybe it's still too powerful. I don't know. But I mean, 1 mana acceleration isn't that crazy. Like Llanowar Elves does this, and this gives your opponent the 1/1 creature instead of you having the 1/1 creature. Anyway, Googoo Buggy, another Kart. This one's really simple. It's got haste. It's got crew 1. It can be crewed by babies if they have baby form, which I showed in the previous video. So, yeah, this is the Baby Mario and Baby Luigi Kart from Double Dash. Nothing more to say about that. I experimented with there's various Mario sports games. There's like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. There's some other ones. So I'm starting to experiment with what some cards from those might look like. 4 is a functional reprint of a card called Smash to Smithereens, which says destroy target artifact. This card deals 3 damage to that artifact's controller. And I really love the flavor here that you're whacking your opponent's golf ball into their face, thereby destroying their golf ball and also hurting them, giving them black eye or whatever. So I like the flavor here. We'll see. This is the sort of card I don't really need in the set yet. I kind of want to wait a little bit longer for more of these cards that are more utility cards, just to see what the holes are in the set. Maybe there'll already be a lot of artifact destruction just from the cards that I want to design, but I think it's got funny flavor. And then Countershot also is a Mario Tennis card. This is a pretty close to a functional reprint of Remand. Return target spell to its owner's hand, draw a card. This is kind of a tempo card. You can spend 2 mana to trade for more mana of your opponent's. Straightforward. All right, so save file is anything but straightforward. This is a very complicated card. This was sort of the product of a couple people on the subreddit, reddit.com/r/Mario the Gathering, if you want to go check it out. Rampart Purple had the initial idea, and Naz Fluka came up with some refinements. I modified it even more to try and make the wording a bit simpler. But let's take a look. So save file costs all 3 colors of the Mario Maker shard. Whenever another permanent is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. So permanent cards don't go to your graveyard anymore, they get exiled. And then when there are 4 or more cards, 4 or more card types among cards exiled with save file, sacrifice it and put those cards onto the battlefield. So you're sort of exiling them into the save file. You're saving them. And then once you have, this is sort of the architect, 4 or more card types among cards you control is the architect keyword. And you will see that on the next card here, architect. This means once your save file has architect, you get all the cards back. You get to load the save file. And it's also got an ability that helps to enable this. For instance, it's really hard to get a land into your graveyard normally. So for all 3 colors and you can sacrifice a permanent, and you can basically pay those as a cost to draw a card. So it's a way of getting a land into your graveyard. The other card types aren't that hard. Like creatures, you can get auras or artifact creatures, vehicles, that sort of stuff into your graveyard without too much trouble. But it's pretty hard to get a land into your graveyard. So and not every deck's going to have a Planeswalker. So this, you can also only activate this as a sorcery to prevent shenanigans with like sacrificing cards with this trigger on the stack and stuff like that. Makes the card a lot less confusing. So this is a really interesting card. I have no idea how powerful it is in a draft environment. It sounds actually really hard to use. Like you have to play cards of 4 types and then get them to go to the graveyard in order to get any value out of it. And even then, like, it's dubious how much actual value you're going to get, because maybe you like had to work pretty hard to get them to the graveyard and like you didn't really get value out of them the first time. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. I think it's a really interesting card. Maybe it's just too complicated and I should cut it, but we'll see. Soundfrog is a frog that allows you to put sounds into your Mario Maker levels. Soundfrog has an Architect ability. If there are 4 or more card types among permanents you control, all creatures able to block Soundfrog do so. And then he's got a very synergistic ability with that. 4 and a blue, return Soundfrog to your hand. So what you can do is attack with Soundfrog. If you have Architect, your opponent will have to block Soundfrog with all of your creatures, all of their creatures, which means that all of your other creatures that are attacking won't be able to be blocked. And so you can use this to get damage through, and then you can, after your opponent blocks Soundfrog with all of their creatures, you can return it to your hand and save it for another turn. So this is a sneaky way to get a lot of damage through potentially, and it's repeatable, though it costs 7 mana to do this cycle. Theoretically, you could do it every turn though, if you had 7 mana to spend every turn. Also, you can get blown out if your opponent like removes this Architect requirement after you attack, but before they have to block. So it's kind of a swinging card. Could result in you getting really blown out by some instant speed removal. Here's Bobomb Cannon. This card is a little bit more complicated than I would like, so I'm kind of looking for ways to maybe replace this, but for now, we'll see. So what it says is whenever an artifact creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to up to 1 target creature that attacked or blocked this turn. So turns all of your artifact creatures into bobombs. And then the Architect ability is white and tap, create a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token. That's a bobomb. Activate this ability only if there are 4 or more card types among permanents you control. So that's the Architect requirement. So if you have Architect, you get a bobomb every turn. And the thing I don't like about this, well, one of the things I don't like about this is it makes combat math really hard. Like if you can block with a bunch of bombs, they can spread out a bunch of damage in different places, and it just makes it kind of hard. Like you have to spend a while potentially looking at what are all the ways that your opponents could use their bombs to like kill your creatures and that sort of stuff. So I think this card is too complex, and it makes it just like too hard to do combat math. But so I'm gonna look for ways to like fix that, but I'm not sure exactly what to do. Might just end up replacing the card. But I do want a token generator for the Architect theme. So we'll see where that ends up. Puzzle Level is the next land in that cycle of lands that Wizards of the Coast would never print. And the reason they would never print it is because it is an artifact land, which they have committed to never reprinting because they end up way too powerful in all sorts of artifact-themed decks. But since I am not printing this card into any format where there's an artifact matters theme, really, other than Architect, I think it's fine. So I'm willing to experiment with this. So this gives you an artifact and a land, 2 of the card types out of the 4 you need to enable Architect. And if you do have Architect, then you can tap this for any of the Architect shards colors. So I don't actually know if this is that good. I think it's like mostly good because it's just like gives you a free artifact, so all you need is a creature and an enchantment in order to enable Architect. But then I guess late game it helps you play. There's like a lot of 3-color Architect spells that helps you play, that sort of stuff. Magma Spray is a reprint, including the name. I just thought this like art was really cool and wanted to do something with it. So for now, this is what I'm doing with it. The cool thing about Magma Spray is it interacts really well with another mechanic in the set called Spook. Spook is this mechanic you can see right here. You may cast this card face down as a 2/2 creature for 3, which is like sort of like Morph. Oh, it's exactly like Morph, that part. When this creature dies while face down, exile it. You may cast it later from exile for its spook cost. So when this creature dies while face down is a triggered ability. So the card will go to the graveyard and then it'll trigger this ability and it'll exile it and you can cast it later once it's exiled. the Magma Spray is a replacement effect. So if the creature would die this turn, it doesn't go to the graveyard. It just gets exiled and it doesn't get exiled with Spook. So basically, you can use this to kill a face-down 2/2 creature, and it'll exile it without allowing that creature's controller to cast that creature for the Spook cost. So this is very specifically targeted at spook creatures, but I mean, you can cast this on any creature, and it's still very useful. And then the last card for today is Chain Chomp. Chain Chomp is a 3/1 with Defender. When an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, Chain Chomp loses Defender and gains this creature attacks each combat if able. And that effect lasts indefinitely. So he starts out tied to his post. If an artifact goes to your graveyard, it's like that post got destroyed and all of a sudden it's free. And if you've ever seen a free Chain Chomp, it just goes. It just, bites and goes forward and just chases whatever it can. So that's where it gets this ability from. This card is a very good card for the vehicle deck. It's got 3 power for 1 mana, and it can crew cards just like any other card. It doesn't matter that it has Defender. So this is a very potent crew card. That's the main utility of the card. But I mean, you could put it in other decks. It's also an artifact creature for Architect decks. So it's 2 card types. All you need is an enchantment at that point, and you'll have Architect active because you'll have a land. It'll be 4 card types. So it's kind of a flexible card. I don't like this part that basically it goes from defensive mode to offensive mode without any way of marking the card. We looked at some ways on stream to remove that tracking issue, make it so you don't have to remember, so that you can have some way of looking at the card and seeing which mode it is. But we didn't come up with anything quite satisfactory. It's something I want to keep working on and see if I can find a better way to do this. But for now, I think it's okay. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. If you're interested in checking out more of this, there's a whole playlist on my channel. There's also the reddit.com/r/Mario the Gathering subreddit, where people are submitting card ideas, and I'm getting quite a lot of card ideas. In fact, this one was by Kit Sovereign on that subreddit. And I'm putting credits in the Magic Set Editor file for people who do submit cards that I end up using. Yeah, so go check that out. And thanks for watching.